Started the recording. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. In the previous sessions, we have discussed about what is a Docker, what is Kubernetes, how do I run Docker containers, how do I go into it, and how do I troubleshoot it. And I discussed about do I take Kubernetes and I host an application in it. For this time, we'll take an application, .NET application, and I will deploy it into AKS. So I will going to mix all these concepts. Okay, and try to deploy it. If you remember, when I have deployed a .NET application, uh, while I've deployed the .NET application into the what do you say, Azure App Service. What did I do? I just built it. I made it a zip file and then I pushed it. Now this time I have to make it when I'm deploying into AKS. I can only deploy into AKS with, uh, with the Azure Container Registry. Right? So using an Azure Container Registry, I can go ahead and deploy the .NET application. In this kind of cases, what should I be going and doing? So I will go ahead and show that as a demo here. So the easiest way to keep remembering this scenario or concept is go into DevOps. Azure DevOps Lab is one of the for initial starters, like when you are learning DevOps and we are going to give interviews. It's a very good website which Microsoft community has came up with. So you can utilize these concepts to understand, how are we going and doing this stuff. So here, these are so when you are saying that if I'll be learning Azure DevOps and all, I will say that go through at least 5 to 10 scenarios. If you wanted to really DevOps, complete all the scenarios, or at least 60-70% of the scenarios. If you are at least having less time, complete 5 to 10 scenarios in this one, and you will have a very good understanding about Azure DevOps. Here, I'm going to choose one scenario called take. mm, Deploy a multi-container application to Azure Kubernetes services. I'm going to click on it. This will tell me the step-by-step approach. How do I from this scenario? It's a very good one, guys. I wanted to even show to you guys this one, just like the way I showed from Google or from the troubleshooting. Even this is a very good one for Azure DevOps Labs specifically. So here they are trying to say that this lab uses a Dockerized ASP.NET web application. There is an ASP.NET Core web application, which was named as My Health Clinic and is deployed into Kubernetes cluster. So how do I deploy an application? I make it as an image and I deploy it into Kubernetes cluster. If you remember, I did kubectl. What do you say? Kubectl apply -f. I did .yaml. And it went the manifest files which I wrote, YAML files, been deployed into the Kubernetes, and then I was able to, on the load balancer, I was able to get the public external IP, and I was able to send that. Any questions here? Means do you understand when I'm saying this scenario here? uh, any doubts, basically. If you are not understanding somewhere here, please you have to let me know so that you can understand what you are not understanding in this specific uh, Kubernetes concept or in this specific scenario. Okay. I assume that there are no questions here, but I'm expecting that you guys are understanding this. I'm taking that image, which the application, I'm going to deploy that in Kubernetes. That's the whole point. So here they're saying that Dockerized, it use this terminology when we're trying to say that the build file, instead of making it as a zip file, we'll make it as an image. That's why the Docker image. That's why they're saying uses a Dockerized ASP.NET core web application, which with My Health Clinic, uh, which is of an application which named as My Health Clinic, and this will be deployed into Kubernetes cluster. We're going to not do this manually, like in the previous session. We're going to do this. Uh, how do I keep it? We do it with using Azure DevOps, using CI/CD pipelines. Now, this is where they were talking about. There is a MHC, AKS. MHC is nothing but My Health Clinic hyphen AKS Azure Kubernetes Service .yaml manifest files. So in manifest file, they'll exactly tell what services and what deployments have to happen in the what do you say, the Kubernetes. So when Kubernetes is going to run a lot of containers and as pods and in a specifically in nodes, worker nodes. Now manifest files have to tell in the pods how the pods have to be created and all. So that's where the manifest file comes in, which will tell exactly what have to be done. MHC, which is nothing but the My Health Clinic, MHC, will be application will be running in the MHC front pod. There will be a pod name MHC front along with a load balancer. Okay. The application would be running in a pod name. So if you go into manifest files, there will be with a name uh, MHC-front. That will be like a front end. That in that front in that YAML. So when they're saying that service which is going to run, which will run this MHC front, uh, that will have the application and will tell that one you have to take image from so and so. It will do that. The following image will walk you through all the steps explained in this lab. We go in reading one by one to make you understand how are we going to read and understand this. If you see here, the DevOps guys from the local PC will commit to the repository. Instead, save this as image, probably. This is not stopping. Is there any value? Okay. It's important to if you understand the flow of it. This is going a bit faster. If you see, they're trying to say that local PC, they're pushing it into Git repository, the application. Developers, dev is nothing but developers who are developing the My Health Clinic, the .NET Core application, they'll be pushing it. Whenever there is a new changes which encountered, new features which I've encountered, some branch might have commit into their dev branches, and finally from their dev branches they are pushing it into developer branch or main branch or somewhere. Then automatically a pipeline will be triggered, which will create Docker image. That Docker image will be stored in Azure Container Registry. Azure Container Registry is just like Docker Hub Registry, where we store images. And next, the pipeline will be once the pipeline, the next thing after we pushing the Docker image into a private container, so they pushed it into public container. Sorry, uh, yeah. Here we can see that you have to understand from this one why they are taking from a public container registry. Uh, what they are doing here is they're pushing the Docker image into a private container registry, and that private container registry, if we see, is being pushed into this infrastructure. In this infrastructure, what does it have? It has Azure SQL, Azure SQL database, and it has Azure Kubernetes services. So you can explain this as your uh, production scenario, saying that we have an infrastructure which is running on Kubernetes and which is having an ACR and which is having an Azure SQL database, and it's specifically to Azure Kubernetes service case. We are running a couple of services in it, and one of the service which will be running is Red's Cache, and the other one will be running is the application. The other one which will be running is the load balancer. Along with it, we have the container insights solution which has been enabled, and Prometheus solution which has been enabled. Get a more granular picture, and how do we troubleshoot is what the next concepts which we'll get questions on. If you are explaining this very clearly, this was set up, then it will be very good. Here they're saying that once they get the Docker image, they're going to push it into the Azure Container Registry, and that's where release pipeline comes in. The release pipeline is saying that here, if you see that the image which you're seeing is Azure release pipeline, it's going to deploy in SQL database, and it's going to deploy things in Azure Kubernetes services, and then uh, also in the load balancer point of view. So when requests, then finally here there is an icon coming up saying user. So from user terminal, we'll send a request to the load balancer and we'll see whether that is working or not. So okay, introduction to Docker Kubernetes. Okay, they're trying to talk about it. It is a pod, it is a service, it is a deployment, all that. Okay, so in this lab, what are we covering? We are going to create an Azure Container Registry, AKS, an Azure SQL Server, and then we're going to provision Azure DevOps project provision the Azure DevOps team project with a .NET application using DevOps demo generated tool. What is Azure DevOps generated tool? Demo generated tool is, if you click on it, it's going to create an entire project for you, all the respective pipelines. So you're not going ahead and creating any pipelines using just click on the button, it's going to deploy. But how do you learn? You have to create your own project, create the same, replicate that same infrastructure, and it is going to work. But anyways, you'll find some, because this is an old one, you will face lot of errors while you're trying to run. And how we are troubleshooting is also what you'll learn from here. Yeah, not a lot of errors, but there will be at least 1-2 errors if you will get it if it's not because that was been these are old templates. Configure application and database deployment using continuous deployment in Azure DevOps initiate to build automatically deploy the application. Okay, saying just to run the pipeline. Now, first thing which I will do here is going to dev.azure.com and getting started. You just need to have Azure DevOps. So I'll just click on DevOps demo generator. So if you see Azure DevOps demo generator, when I clicked on it, it showed me in a different page. To a different page. I clicked on sign in. Now let me first log into it. So any queries or any problems will be resolved. Okay. Record. I'll click on. And so here itself, I'm going to create a project. So I'm going to select org 226 because that's the organization name. In this one, what will be the project name which you wanted to keep? .NET AKS. And create a project. So here, for one thing which I have to do is when you wanted to ensure that the demo generator wants to create anything, please go into organization settings and under that go into security tab and you'll see policies. Select the policies and ensure that third-party application access via OAuth is enabled. So go into organization settings of demo org 226. That's very important because every organization will have organization settings. So now I'm going into demo org 226. I clicked on it. I'm going to upload. Now in the security, you go into policies and there you enable third party access via OAuth. That's it. I go back there and then I click on create project. So here I'm saying Azure Kubernetes Service. By default, they choose the template. In order to choose any template here, what is choosing a template? Because there are different scenarios. You'll have different applications. So we wanted only specifically the My Healthcare Clinic solution. So I'm going to the selected template is Azure Kubernetes Service, where they will create all the respective projects, pipelines, everything. To create it, I click on create. Project is getting created. AKS MHC, just keep it that way. If I'm running and reading it, what will they're saying that the name is the issue. Okay, always don't be worried about anything. Just read the error and you can troubleshoot it mostly. Define the required extensions installed. You will need to install them in order to proceed. replace tokens. So I have to install these things because the pipelines would be needing all these things. Okay, so you just have to select this. That we will they will go ahead and install that extensions. When if you remember, if any extensions, any some of the tasks which we are trying to create in Azure pipelines, not all tasks are installed. So like if you are going and installing Terraform, you are going to deploy a Terraform code, then you need to install Terraform, all that one. So here I was trying to, if you go into extensions, yeah, here it is. In the general tab, extensions, you will be installing whatever respective task which you wanted to create. Now for .NET by default, we have the tasks available for an organization, but any other tasks you usually have to first install and say. Here they're saying that we'll go ahead and install. You're okay with it. I'm okay with it. Go and create it. So why extensions are something which should be a net of it. So just like images can be official images and unofficial images, there will be extensions in the market for free of cost, and there will be official extensions which Microsoft have developed on some specific companies have developed like official ones, and there will be extensions for charge. A lot of things are there. It's like in Jenkins, we have different plugins which are developed by the community. Similarly, we have extensions in Azure DevOps utilize and uh, uh, do the automation activities. Now, when you're deploying a .NET application into an ASP, you should have .NET task to build, to restore, to publish, and then you should have to convert it into a zip file and put it in artifacts. And then you should have, when you're deploying it to Azure App Service, there is a task deploying to Azure App Service. So behind what is happening, a task has been designed to go and run some set of commands. That is making our job easier. That's the power of a task right now. Similarly, there will be a lot of automation tasks which have a lot of people would have developed based on the scenarios and all that. You can choose whatever task you can find it from the market, which is relevant. It's your own risk because codes can be official ones. Obviously, you can go and trust it. The unofficial ones, we can't really go and trust what exactly is happening there. Even it go and does the job, there might be some vulnerabilities which can be placed to expose your uh, what do you say application. That's the reason why we don't prefer installing third-party extensions. Now the project got created. We go ahead to the demo org 60 and I see that AKS MHC, which was generated by Azure demo generated. This was got created. If I go into this, see in repository the repository. Sorry, in the repos I see the repository which got created. If I go into pipelines, I see there's a build pipeline, there's a build, there's a YAML file, there is a build one. We can choose whatever we wanted, and there is release pipeline. And in release pipeline, they have created the release, so it is taking from ihealth.aks.build pipeline, whatever the build which was generated, and then once that was successful, then the next thing which they did is they are creating an Azure. They have to select the subscription and which where you wanted to deploy, create the AKS solution, and where you wanted to go ahead and deploy this image. We'll get to that part. No, we are not touching this. So let me close this right now, and I'll go back. Created one. They're saying that I created respective things, whatever they just mentioned, I just did it. Setting up the environment. So what should I do? I should go and create the infrastructure, go and deploy that things, right? So let me create that infrastructure. So I gave the commands also. I just have to log into my Cloud Shell. Shell.azure.com. You can just click on portal.azure.com and you can select Cloud Shell. Or there is another way. So if you go portal.azure.com, you can select this one which I was showing, or you can even click on shell.azure.com. So that will give you to Cloud Shell. Just showing you that it's fine. You can go in either ways. Now there are commands which are running. So let me go and copy those commands. Yeah. So what I'll do, create the AKS scenario. What did I do? Open this Azure demo generator tool. Inside organization settings, I change the policies settings tab, enabled for third party apps. Then next one, AKS scenario is done. What will be the next things which I have done here? Azure Kubernetes demo is done. Then I gave the name. Didn't choose any template. Template to Azure Kubernetes service. By default. And then the next thing which I've done is give a name, project, and select the organization in the list. That's it, which I did. I clicked on, I selected required extensions to be installed and create the project. Once that is done, the next one which I did is now the plan the AKS create infrastructure. In that, the first thing which I do is the latest version of Kubernetes, and I create a resource group. Then take the latest version of Kubernetes. Create source group and create Azure Kubernetes cluster. Then deploy the Kubernetes cluster. Sorry, I create CR, Azure Container Registry. And what we are trying to do, ensuring that AKS is aware of Azure Container Registry. Why? That AKS has permissions to pull the image from Azure Container Registry. It's very important. So give permission, give pulling image, ACR, Azure Container Registry. This is good. And I take a SQL, I create a SQL database. So to create a SQL database, you're going to create server, first SQL server, and then you're going to create database in it. This is good. The next one which you do is this is for creating the database. I have to go into these things and by doing anything about it. Get the MHCDB, make a note of server name, set the server firewall. Yes, okay. Go ahead and do this. Sorry for that long pause. Go ahead and run it. So here when I'm running it, please remember that you have to make changes to the region. I'm going to choose East US. Going to Cloud Shell right now. And I'm going to go. I go and say version. So then I have the latest version of Kubernetes. Now we will install, create a resource group. It's in East US. The resource group is AKS Hands-on Lab. That's it. Now create resource. Save. Okay, there. I created an Azure containments. I created a resource group. Now the next thing is AKS. Let's see hyphen AKS. Cluster. Okay, I'll just keep it on my AKS cluster. And resource group is the same. The location where I'm going to create is East US. Version, we get it from here. Version, that version is Kubernetes version. Enable add-ons, monitoring, and all that. The name is MHC AKS. The resource group is AKS and so on lab. So Any questions here, guys? Going and creating an AKS cluster, which is going to take a couple of minutes. Once that is done, we're going to create an ACR, your container registry, and then we're going to create, then we give some permission to the AKS to go and pull images. So here, I'm going to give the name, let's see, AKS. The name is nothing but this one. The AKS resource group is AKS hands-on lab, and attach the ACR. ACR name is, so I have to give a unique name. ACR, let's see, AKS. I hope this will be unique. And here the region is US. Going to take some minutes, I guess. 2 minutes probably. Yeah. Then we go and this here unique sub, this one. Let's see, SQL DB. Let's see. Just keep it at that. Mostly it will be unique. This is good. Then the hands-on lab. So usually we'll not get username and password this easier way. Creating the application, you take it from key value store and you do it. So and might do it from Terraform and all that. You would not be having a chance to manually look at what is the password and all this activities. And here, AZ SQL DB create hands-on lab. The unique server name is this one. And it's MSCDB. That is good. Okay. So far here, commands good. So meanwhile, when this gets created, we also have to create a agent which is going to run all these activities. I'll go ahead and create a virtual machine. So previously, I created Windows one, right? Now I will try to create this one. Patient 01 US there standard into I leave it at instance. Create trainer, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is good. Networking, leaving everything as it is, monitoring and disable this. I click on create. I'll choose the machine to be created in some other region so that I'll have core for this cluster to be created. Okay. Cluster got created. When this gets created, I will create the rest of the services. This is ACR I'm creating, Azure Container Registry. Where I click on this, click on enter. I'm creating a virtual machine so that I can to run the pipelines. I need an agent, right? Doing that. So ACR got created. Next one which I have to do is the permissions for AKS to do that from ACR. Yes. System yes. You Indian operate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here screen and uh, to install the agent. How do I go? Go into project settings, agent tools. I'll create an agent tool called the hosted agent tool. I'll name it as AKS agents and grant access to all the pipelines. So inside the AKS, how do I create? Click on new agent. Select previous level doing for Windows. Now this time I'll do for Linux. Here I copy this one. I go into here. I do wget, paste it. I will download all this. Let me go and see if this is still running. Uh, when this has been done, next thing is create a directory called my agent and go inside my agent. And inside my agent, next thing which I have to do is whatever file which I have downloaded, I wanted to uh, unzip it. That's the command tar this command, and I have to go to home, and in this one the name is yes, this is the name. I'm not choosing whatever name is mentioned. It might not be the latest one. Good, it might be the latest one, but here it's mentioned as downloads. Not in the downloads folder, it is in my home folder itself. So that is the only one thing which you will get an error if you're trying to do. We'll go and run config.sh. Select yes. Server URL is nothing but the organization URL. I'll paste it here. Then for pat, I'll click on enter. And I need a pat token. So that is nothing but I'll duplicate this tag. I'll select here pat token. I'll click on regenerate. Get this pat token. I'll copy it, paste it here. I click on enter. and it's going to authenticate right now. The agent, this machine is going to get authenticated to Azure Kubernetes run. Let me check this is done. I'll create right now a SQL data server first, an Azure SQL data server. Come enter here. Now we go back here. The agent pool. What is the agent pool? It's AKS agents. AKS agents. That's the agent pool name. Okay, good. And what will be the agent 01 will be the agent name in that. What will be the work folder? I'll keep that as it is. There we have this one. We see now this is good. Now run. Do start to install. We see installed it. Next, I started. Okay. Please remember this because if you are exiting it, if you do run.sh, so instead of exiting, you can perform it as service.sh. It's a very good practice. I go into this, I'll create a database. This is done. If I go into agents, I see my agent is listening for jobs and all that. Only thing which I have to do is when I go into this pipelines, I'll select AKS agent. That's it. This. Now similarly, if I go into release, I click on edit. Then I select this in pipeline. The agents are AKS agents. Here also AKS agents. And I'll click on tools. Okay, I have to change this. Otherwise, first I have to create this thing. So I'll do later on. Okay. So even this DB also got created. If I go into infrastructure, if I go into all resources, I see related to AKS cluster. It all got created. So first let me select the resource group, AKS hands-on lab. What all did I create in AKS hands-on lab? I created a cluster, created the container registry. I created this is probably to a cluster itself. So not getting into it. Next we have SQL Server. These are the things which we have in hands-on lab. Now this is the infrastructure related to AKS. When you deploy in AKS, the worker nodes, this will be virtual machine scale sets, the virtual network, and all this got created here. And that's network voucher RG. This is for virtual machine. Virtual machine, when I create for a, this was nothing but an agent. Those things have came up here. And yeah, I think we are good in good shape right now. This is nothing, whatever you see here is mostly it's a log analytics workspace for the solution monitor and all that. Kubernetes cluster. So go back here into this WordPress solution. I'm going to close this because I don't need that. I'm going to close this. I don't need this. Okay, I would need that, I guess. At this point of time, keep this handy. I'll go back here. Following components deployed. Each individually make a note of you will be needing them in the exercise. Okay, fine. I'll go back here. I'll select the resource group. The resource group is AKS hands-on labs. And first I'll go into DB, SQL date DB. So DB is here, HCDB. They're asking to copy the server name, DB name, sorry. Take a note of. Sorry for that. Server host name, where you're giving in section and all that. Next one, which is I go into the set file server firewall and enable virtual services. I go here. Do I have anything here? Usually all the changes which we do it in for any settings, configuration changes and all that, we do it in SQL Server. Like SQL Server is the brain. There we have to probably mention the firewall settings. Here, allow Azure services to access this. What I could see this is done. So I go into SQL Server and I was doing that. Now the database, when I go inside it, do I have any to worry about? No. This is good. That's what I have to do, and I think I did it. Server firewall. Just ensuring that I'm not missing anything. Because Azure is ever changing, that will be the only troublesome factor to find out. So should I go? Because it's a networking section. Firewall is a networking section. Try to look for security in terms of networking, and I could able to find here the Azure services to access this server. And that's what here is saying. Clicked on yes, I saved it. Next one is navigate to the resource group, create a container history, make of note of the login server. So if I go back to this one and I look at the container registry, I take a note of this. Login. I took a note of that. The next thing is going to pipelines. Select the build. So pipelines, I select the build. I click on edit. Then specifically for run services or build services, yeah, run services. To select which subscription I'm going to choose. Here I'm going to choose the subscription. So I can create service connections, create service connection. And here I'm going to choose Azure Resource Manager. I'll select it. Click on select. I'll choose it automatic only at this point of time. I need a connection to it. So that's what I was saying on creating a service connection. Please remember that if I don't create a service connection, I will not be in a position to, DevOps doesn't have the permission, this task doesn't have the permission to go and do any activities in your portal. You are saying only the respective server using this, you're creating a brokers, making them saying that, okay, use this broker to, if you wanted to choose this one. So when I created this service connection, click on new service connection. I choose Azure Resource Manager. I choose this automatic. I'll give my credentials, whichever it is needed for the portal. And now, when I select here, I click on refresh. Here, pay as you go. Choose that one. In Azure Container Registry, I will choose that which I created. I'm going to leave this as it is. Let me see, should I change anything? This is the only thing. You will be prompted to authorize credentials. You click on it. It creates Azure Resource Service Endpoint and all this. So then you select the container registry. You have to go for replace tokens in MHC. YAML. If I go here, replace tokens. Okay. And here also I choose as you go container registry. Here also I'll choose pay as you go and container registry. I'll explain in the tomorrow's class how do I go and create a Docker image and all that. Right now, I'm just ensuring that creating a scenario, showing you the scenario of how it works. Specifically, they're copying YAML files and backpack packages only, and then they're pushing it into a repository. There. And these things, I think, believe there is no changes to it. And this one, go into repository once and check everything is in good state or not. So first, here I'll click on save and go into repository. In repository, they said that mch.yaml, which is here. Ports are all good. 80 port, 80 port. So I don't need to change any of it. Select into the variables. So if I go back to the pipelines and in this build, I edit and click on variables section where they're saying variables. Inside variables, I have to give the equal username and password. Okay, I'll go and do that here. ACR. Okay, I have to give that name, which is this one. This is done. Then SQL password. What is SQL password? This one. The SQL server is this one. Let me check. SQL server is the entire server name, which is this one. The user, nothing but the SQL admin. Rest we are not touching because they are default ones. And I click on save it. Not clicking on save and queue, just click on save. Then once this is done, configure build YAML pipelines. This is optional when you wanted to do YAML one, which I'm not touching right now. Now configure release. So if I have to go and set up the release also, because release also are not being set properly, right? Go into release. I select the jobs, go inside this, and I will authorize to the respective ones. My pay as you go, SQL Server, and next thing is save deployments. I'll choose here as you go. The resource group is AKS hands-on lab. The cluster is MX AKS. Hands-on Kubernetes cluster. Secrets. I go in queue as we go. Okay. I was doing whatever they said it. Then create deployment AKS.yaml, update full script called my secret key created in AKS. Using command in the background. So we are not touching any of it. I'll go into variables. So before I go into variables, I will have to, as you go, go into variables. Here they need some attention. It's in. Here I'm going to choose AKS agents. Here I'm going to choose AKS agents. Okay. Now I go into variables. So ACR is this one. Triggers. I paste it here. Now DB, MHCDB, no changes in it. EBSORD1234, so no changes in it. My server, this one, change it to this one. Click on save. Now I'll go and trigger the pipeline. Like this, and that's it. I click on this. Let's see, we'll face a lot of errors. This is how we are making changes to it. Tomorrow session, I'm going to specifically show you how I was able to do it and all. As of now, this is what I'll leave this till here. Let me see if it's working out. Because continuous deployment trigger has been enabled, so even the release pipeline will be triggered if this is working out. There we go. Docker. The Docker one is failing. Probably because the Docker is not being installed, unable to execute. if the path exists or not. If I go into this raw log, we'll get to know what was that. If I go here, this one, so they were saying docker compose.ci. Have to go and install Docker Compose and all that inside this machine that I can run this. So I just have to be able to create executable Docker. Close as of now because this is not needed anymore. Let's go to Google. What's this? Stack Overflow. Docker command is not available. Don't believe queuing steps are changing. To run latest Windows, I believe you need to remove the container section. Steps required breaking the job. Preventively based on the description. It contains something to help you determine the agent. Pipeline. Mm, Says all my scenarios different. Agents are not gates. Into right direction. Install Docker CLI in the agent container. That's it. We have to install Docker in it, which will resolve the most of the issue. If I go back here and get Docker scenario, probably we will have this one. Yeah, we go. Go ahead and install Docker in it. The agent where I'm running, it is saying that it doesn't know what is Docker because we didn't install it. So it's what we thought. So we are going and installing Docker in it. Really, I couldn't find Docker command is not found, something like that is not recognized. Oh, that's a Windows one. Probably for this one, there will be this error. Uh, these are the errors which they were not exactly saying that you should have this in your agent and all that. That's fine. So Indian 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Container. Okay, this is good. So now I'll rerun this pipeline. Okay, going to run this. This is running through empty container, Docker that. Let's see. We install Docker Compose also. You see, installing Docker Compose is very few. Once I install Docker, I'll do the next one which I'll do. I'll rerun it. Yes. Again, okay. Didn't connect to Docker daemon at is it running? Message found for this. But a standard location specify Docker is Docker host environment, the environment variable. Okay, we got different areas this time. We connect to Docker daemon local host. Is it running? Not the standard location. Spell the URL with. I think we have to go and troubleshoot this, guys. So we'll work on this tomorrow because we have we already extended this one. But So these are the minor errors which will ensure we have to rectify it, because agent we have to install all the respective dependencies. Only then the pipeline will run. Okay, I believe in replace tokens also some issue can encounter. We'll replace zero tokens. So yeah, know what could be the error here. We'll resolve this once we are complete into our session. So I'll stop the recording as of now. Try to create whatever so far we have created. Let me know if you have any questions. If you are trying to run this one, that is good enough. Here, if you reach the setting up of the entire infrastructure, that will be great. Thanks, team.